So it's finally here, the CFA3, built by the most famous headfire. When I just wanna first talk about my first 5 minutes reaction to it. When I put it on, I did not connect to any preamplifier. I was only connecting to esoteric. So no, in the first 5 minutes, I was shocked, and there are two reasons that I was shocked. The first reason is how similar it sounds as T2. I just feel like it's just a non-electric step version of T2 for the air, for the a big sound, for the space, for the air, right? It just really reminds me of T2 and many other KG design, which is overly ampage and overly voltage. That is basically his approach, and how he improve or develop on all the designs that he turned apart. And the second thing I was kind of shocked is like the power, right? So actually this one only have inside I checked, there is only one like power transformer, but this power is definitely, this unit definitely has more voltage and power than say GS Mark II, which actually has two transformer, but that amplifier don't have the voltage and the power as the CFA3. And for during the first 5 minutes, right, I was really like, oh my gosh, am I wrong? So some it's very complex feeling to admit to be wrong, because on the one hand, right, my ego will be hurt a little bit because I'm always right, I must be right, I can never be wrong. But on the other hand, if I can find something that prove myself wrong, I will be so thrilled and excited for the long term, because it when you hit a certain level in the sub-MIFI audio, you kind of wanted to be defeated. You looking to be defeated, right? But after the 5 minutes, everything just changed. First, what I feel is the loss of connection, the engagement, the musicality, compared to all the other tube amplifiers that I have, and even including the solid state, like the IFI black label, which is definitely not that powerful, don't have that voltage, but I feel that has more musicality. And even the Mark II, even the GS Mini has more musicality. And for the high end level, at the high end level, solid state wise, I also feel like even my Tech Empire, while it could sound a little analytical, but I feel more engaged than this. And then other amp, which is on Whale Strip Head 3. That amplifier is the most musical dynamic. It's a mono amp, it's two Head Trip 2. So it turned out the Head Trip 3 and the Head Trip 2, the difference is just the chassis and the power supplier, according to Jeff. But then when you have two doubled Head Trip 2 combined together, that sound is dramatically different than just one Head Trip 2 in my memory. So the first caveat I find for CFA3 is that I find it's less engaging, less musical. It's not bright. It's not bright as Head and GS Mark II. GS Mark II is brighter, but also cleaner and more transparent. This one is also clean and transparent, but not as good as the slightly below the Mark II. But the second caveat I find is that everything just sounds so big, right? But there are moments in the sounds you kind of want to have the intimate feeling. So there is a belief in the KG clan, like the amplifier just should be like crazy ampage and crazy voltage, but I find not actually that case through my experience with T2, because sometimes you have that crazy voltage, you have that crazy ampage, everything sounds big for sure, but you lose that micro dynamics. Like there's moment in time when the sound should be small, the sound should be like more like intimate, like they're supposed to be, and they cannot do that because the air just blow everything big, right? That's kind of the second caveat. And the third caveat is the bass. So the bass of CFA3, right? It's definitely worse than many tube like a pure tube amplifier I own, such as Viva. Viva has better low extension than this for sure, much better. And not to mention the UWA 23 is Luna is even way better than this. So while it has the dynamics, it's big, it's a very big sounding and has a lot of air, and but the low end is not there. So this caveat is kind of similar and reminds me of T2. While T2 also have the crazy voltage and ampage, and for the low end, you just feel like, wow, you just have that dynamics, but then it's not going deep enough. And actually, Dr. Cloud, who also came to my place, and he is the owner of the U3SE Elite version, which do not display in any show, by the way. And he also shared the same feeling. The 3SE definitely goes deeper. 3SE doesn't have the ampage and wattage as T2, but it does goes deeper for the low extension. So that's kind of the similar caveat for all KG9 that I find the best KG9, so-called. And that's basically the three caveat. So and the last part I want to talk about is the pairing with preamplifier, right? Like, oh, people said with the preamp it's better than any big tube amplifiers, and my take and my experience is no. It's not as good. Actually, I pair it with the most musical, the most basic preamplifier I experienced in my audiophile journey, and I experienced a lot of big name of preamplifier. But honestly, when that paired with my Luna, I actually do not like that pairing sonic wise because it dilutes the bass, the density, and everything I appreciate about Luna. So that's the gap between CFA and the Riviera power amp, the real power amplifier. When I use that power amplifier with Luna, because I use the stock tube, I can maintain that body, I can maintain that tonal density without obviously feeling like being diluted by it, while I can still have the bass there, punch and everything. So that's the huge gap between these two units, matching to the same pre and the same source. And the other thing I want to mention is that just a technical common sense. I checked all the builds of CFA3 that I can find. I also checked, the CFA3 F3 unit by the hot-headed headfire and the biggest hyper in the world, and all their unit, let me tell you, they are all integrated amplifier. So I was like, what the heck, everybody talking about using as a power amp with that, but I never saw the the pre-out or pre-in or whatever. So how can it be used as a power amp, right? Like, that common sense just beyond me. So I emailed the builder and it confirmed this is a typical power amplifier, and I even asked, can I have the customization option to add pre-in, pre-out or something like that, and the builder said the circuit design doesn't allow for that. It's not gonna work that way. It's not designed for that way. So this is a pure 100% integrated amplifier. So this is the most common basic sense. And another common sense is that you do not use a dedicated preamplifier with an integrated amplifier. Ask any real OG audiophile. You do not use a preamplifier with an integrated amplifier. That's more practice. So sonically, technically, that's not the ideal way to do that. And definitely, detail-wise, bass-wise, this alone or with the most basic preamplifier, it's not on the same level as Riviera and even as WA 22. That's just my experience. I'm trying to be like very objective and without letting my emotion in. After I'm being accused that I feel insecure, like I'm the one who hyperbole and hyping stuff, and tell me one thing that I hype, please. And I'm the one, not a word they believe. So, but this is my first day with it. I tried with all the source I have, including Waves, Esoteric, Sound, and other source I have, with different combination with the preamplifier, and I prefer it standalone. And lastly, I want to talk about price. Is this I already say it's not a giant killer, right? Like for people like me who try that many component, and I heard all the time the giant killer from topping, from the benchmark, all the killer for Riviera, right? I tried all of them. I should know better, right? I shouldn't be hyped in, be trapped into the hype train or whatever. So as standalone, I prefer this with Weiss Duck personally, because I feel like, as I said, everything's too big, too huge. With esoteric, which is also crazy and good for the three-dimensionality, I feel like that problem kind of be exaggerated. And with Vice, the problem is still there. Like I still miss some intimate moment, but that is not as big. The Vice is not as big as esoteric, so I still can. Well, the caveat is still there. It's not obvious. It's not that obvious. So, and I think the fair comparison at this price range should be headphone amplifier wise, right? I think that should be the GS Mark II from Head M. As I said, I think the Head M just to give the Saswara more like electrostatic vibes because of the speed, the transparency, the clarity. I think is better than this, but this definitely has more voltage and power. But we want that voltage and power for the dynamics. That's a whole approach and belief for the KG clan. But then on the other hand, it's not the more the merrier, because there are also a caveat for that approach, right? Like I said, like I sometimes when I want the intimate moment, I want more microdynamics. I just don't have it because everything's bloated, right? Yeah, so basically that's just I'm trying my best to be like not emotional, don't let emotion at me, regardless what happened and how this crazy dogs treated me. So I'm trying to be fair to this unit, because my friend, he hand carried in the rain, in the wind, from his place to my car. I feel like this is so big, and it's just what a waste of my space and time. But anyway, I just feel like it's not a bad design. It does have the best the largest amount of voltage and ampage, right? But that's just it, and that is just my take. Trying the different sources and combination in my experience, and also based on my ownership of real high-end component, it's just not there. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Oh, and one thing I want to say is that a lot of people, right, they have a feeling like, oh, in the summit fight, it's all about like the source is more important and the amplification is not important, because the amplifier in the headphone industry cannot rival the speaker. And I disagree of that belief, because nowadays, especially when it involves the planner or the ribbon technology, everything like being used, basically, the boundary between headphone amplifier and loudspeaker amplifier is not that clear, right? So a lot of stuff I tried loudspeaker amplifier and preamp, they do not all work well with Saswara and the headphone. Saswara is very picky. It's not just loudspeaker, it will work. No, it's not case. It's very synergy dependent as well. But I just want to say, in terms of circuit design, I don't want to disrespect KG. He is like the top in headphone industry. But as I said, the boundary between headphone amplification and loudspeaker amplification just vanished, right? With the advent of the power-hungry headphone fire. His design, especially in the non-electrostatic world, his design is not the best, because he's not just competing with other designer in the headphone industry, but in the whole hi-fi industry. So in that case, he's not the best. But I I still respect him, but I just don't think, yeah, I should be too experienced to get into any of the hype train. Anyway, thank you so much. Bye.